Warning, this guide features full spoilers for the new Extreme fight in patch 7.5 of Final Fantasy XIV. Hi guys, and welcome to a Hector lecture guide to the fight the Unmaking Extreme. This is Enuo. Before we begin, you're going to need clock spots for this fight. Standard clock spots work perfectly fine. You also need pair positions. For this I have supports rotating counterclockwise to be on intercardinals. You need light party positions. These are Group 1 West, Group 2 East. For one mechanic, we'll do it relative, so Group 1 left and Group 2 right. And as a backup plan, I would always mark my healers with markers, just so it's easier to find. If your healer gets lost, you can just go to your healer. We're also going to have an orb prio for one mechanic. This is relative to where the tanks need to go, so it's clockwise from the tanks, healers, then melees, then ranged. Lastly, you're going to need an adds prio. This is for the add phase. For this, I'm using pair positions and then a north-south priority. The fight begins with Meteor Rain. This is a raid-wide. Then we get Naught Grows. This is going to spawn orbs on either one or both healers. If it was one orb, it would be a full party stack, but here we have light party stacks on the healers. And we're also getting an AOE going from the boss towards the black hole. This can be either a point-blank AOE or a donut. Here we have the point-blank AOE version, which is a big explosion from the black hole. Healers can drag the orbs wherever they want to, and so they're going to position so that Group 1 is left, Group 2 is right facing the boss. These line stacks that we're about to get are wild charges, meaning the player closest to the orb takes higher damage, so that needs to be a tank using some mitigation. Healers, be careful to not be too far in so you don't get clipped by both line stacks. The inner hitbox ring is perfect. Here's another version of Naught Grows we could have had. So here we have just one big orb on one healer, so it's a full party stack. And here the AoE coming from the boss is a donut. That means we're going to have a donut coming from the black hole, so we need to go towards it instead. Healer can drag the orb around, and we all position, making sure both tanks are the two nearest players to the big orb with mitigation. Afterwards, Not Wakes is just going to move the black hole around. Everybody else can stack middle ready for the next mechanic, Meltdown. Meltdown is going to start by placing a 2-second pyretic-style Chains of Condemnation debuff on every player. This means if you move, you take massive damage, so stay still until the debuff falls off. As soon as it falls off, run out to your clock spot. Max melee is far enough. You're going to see twisters go off where we were just stood, followed by spread AoEs on every player. We now get either dense emptiness, which means that you need to do light parties, or airy emptiness. If it's air, you pair. Here we've got dense emptiness, so we go east and west with our light parties. We now get another Naught Grows, just showing you this version here. We've got light parties, so remember that it's Group 1 left, Group 2 right, facing the boss. Gaze of the Void is next. Here we're going to see these spinny orbs from normal mode, and we want to pay attention to the first two orbs that spawn, both so we can dodge the attack, but also because those first two orbs are going to be our new north for the second half of this mechanic. Dodge it just like in normal mode. Go behind the spin, and dodge into a safe tile as soon as you can. Now I'm going to rotate everything towards our new north, and spawn in these black hole orbs that have been spawning as the cleaves have been going off. You'll notice that two of the orbs are bigger than the others, and it's the two in our new north. That's because these are the sections that got cleaved twice during the previous spin-around mechanic, and therefore the orbs that were made are larger. These orbs need to be popped in pairs, and we need to have tanks pop the bigger ones as they do a lot more damage. Tanks are always going to go towards the big orbs, and we use a prio to figure out roughly where the other players are going to start. Healers should pre-position clockwise from the tanks, range counterclockwise, and melees can kind of go opposite for now. That's because each of the orbs is now going to get a tether. 4 of them have yellow tethers, 4 of them have bluey-purple tethers, and this is the order we need to pop them in. The yellow tethers are going to pull the orbs in quicker than the purple ones, and so we need to pop yellow tethers first. Tanks are obviously just going to go towards the big orb in the north, but then we use the prio to figure out where everybody else's yellow one is, because as you see, healers don't have one immediately next to them. Healers look for the first yellow tether clockwise from the big orbs, range the first one counterclockwise, and melees can look for the second one clockwise or counterclockwise, doesn't matter. As soon as you found your tether, healer and range can pop immediately if they want to, though tanks and melees should probably wait near the boss and keep their uptime. When you get hit, it does light damage. As long as you soaked it with a pair, you're fine, but if you soak it alone, you get knocked back and probably to your death. The soak comes with a 5-second magic foam, and you can't soak another orb until this foam falls off. After all the yellow orbs have been dealt with, we're dealing with the blue tethered orbs. Same prio as before, so tanks take the big one, healers the first one clockwise, melee's the second one clockwise, and ranged are the one counterclockwise. Find your orb, wait till your debuff falls off, and pop it when you can. When all tethers have been popped, the next mechanic we deal with is Vacuum. This is identical to in normal mode. We get a bunch of line AOEs, and I'm going to teach you a trick that will benefit you for Phase 2 now. Find the shortest of the line AOEs, go to one of the safe spots directly opposite it, and hug really tight in towards the middle of the boss. If you do this, you will automatically dodge not just the line AOEs, but also the follow-up circle AOEs. Afterwards, you get the other emptiness mechanic, whichever one you didn't get before. We had light parties before, so now we get pairs. Deep Freeze is next, and we want to pre-position our tanks in the northern corners. The rest of the party can go south. The tanks are going to take these Flare Tank Buster AoEs out to at least max melee, preferably a little bit further, and use mitigation. Even in best gear, this hurts. The rest of the party should go south at least max melee, and everybody needs to be moving as the cast goes off. You get a freezing debuff. If you're not moving until this debuff falls off, like off-tank here, you're going to get frozen in place, you won't be able to attack for a couple of seconds, and you get a dot. Off-tank will still be frozen for Meteor Rain, which is just more raid-wide damage. The boss then jumps north, and we'll start to cast All for Naught, which begins our add phase. Now, add phase all centers around one major feature. It's these towers. There are 8 different locations where towers can appear. As you can see, they're sort of offset from the waymarks, so in between 2 waymarks. And these towers are going to appear in groups of 4 to be soaked by either all the supports or all the DPS. Sometimes the pattern's pretty simple. Sometimes the pattern's not so nice. It seems like the tower position is random, but there is actually a pattern to it. Split the arena down the north-south line. There's always going to be 2 towers west, 2 towers east. What this means is we can just go to our pair positions and say northern corner pairs, you take the northmost tower on your side. Southern corner players, you take the southmost tower on your side. If you want to make this even easier for yourself, you can pre-position near to the north-south line, and now northmost players, your tower is either directly behind you, or the first one you see in this direction. Southmost players, your tower is either directly behind you, or the first one you see in this direction. If we do a couple of examples here, you can see how it's pretty straightforward to go where each player is supposed to go for their tower. Here we've got all the towers north, but again, obvious where every player should go to. Remember, you're never going to cross that line from east to west. You stay on the side with your light party the whole time. One more set, and again, how you would solve it. Now let's actually look at the mechanics in order. There's going to be a knockback circle here. You're never getting any other knockback in the fight, so you can knockback immune this if you want to, or ride the knockback. Just don't stand in the blue circle. It will spawn a giant add. Looming Shadow is our main DPS check for this fight. Whenever you can, get some DPS in on this guy. Looming Shadow will be doing autos on the main tank, and we start to pre-position for Voidal Turbulence. You'll see that we have 4 towers, and we have 4 players that are marked with AoEs. Since the DPS are marked with AoEs, supports are going to take the towers. Supports will follow the prio we discussed to find their tower. And DPS want to treat the positions that don't have a tower the same way they would if they were trying to solve for a tower. So look for the gaps in between waymarks, and if there's no tower there, then that's a position you could go to. If you do it correctly, you'll really evenly spread out these cones, which are quite wide. As the towers pop, they spawn an add. This add immediately tethers to whichever player just soaked the tower, and spawns an add specific to the role that they're playing as. Only players who soaked the tower can damage their add. You can't attack somebody else's add for them. So DPS right now are going to focus all their damage onto the Looming Shadow middle. Tanks get a Protecting Shadow add. Healers get a Soothing Shadow add. The tank's Protecting Shadow add is going to try to cast Drain Touch. This needs to be interrupted, so cast Interject when you see the cast. You also get a Weight of Nothing Tank Buster. It's a line Tank Buster, so aim this away from other players and pop Mitigation as it hurts. Healers, you only need to worry about Curse of the Flesh. When it finishes casting, it's going to give you an Assuneable Disease debuff, so just cast Asuna to remove it. DPS down your add, and when they die, everything repeats, but opposite rolls. Now supports will get the Conal AoEs, and DPS need to take towers. Same priorities, find your tower, or the empty space where there could be a tower to stand for your Conal AoE. DPS always get an aggressive Shadow add as their add, and it only has one move, Demon Eye. It's a gaze attack, and while this looks complicated, the gaze has a limited range around each ad, so you can solve this by just always looking middle. If every player looks middle as the Demon Eye cast finishes, you're perfectly fine. DPS can finish off their aggressive shadow ads, while supports are attacking the Looming Shadow, and when everything's done here, you've got some time to kill off the Looming Shadow. You've got one more ad to attack, it's the Beacon in the Dark. With good DPS, you don't even need to waste your burst on it. Start to focus this down, there'll be some telegraphed line AoEs, you just walk out of these. When Beacon in the Dark is dead, assuming Power of the Void has not reached 100, then you will get transported back to the original arena. The boss will almost immediately be targetable again. And we'll start to cast Lightless World, which is its ultimate attack. This hits hard for heavy damage and hits multiple times. So heal and mitigate through it as it happens. You now get Almagest, which is more raid-wide damage. And Almagest comes with the addition of another black hole on the outside of the arena. Now, when we get Naught Grows, in addition to the big orb or the two small orbs on healers, we now get two AoEs we need to dodge. One that's going to be on a black hole, and one that's going to be on the boss. This will always be a point-blank AoE and a donut, but it's random which one will be on the boss. Here we have the donut is on the boss, point-blank AoE from the black hole, so this would be where we have safe to dodge this mechanic. We position in there, and now everybody needs to be able to get in that wild charge order with tanks nearest the orb, but inside the hitbox ring, so really stack tightly to make this easier on the tanks. Here's another example for what we could get for our first Naught Grows. This time it's a donut on the black hole and a point-blank AoE on the boss. And we're going to do it with light parties, because why not? These are the safe spots that are going to be left, so you see that everybody needs to get away from the boss towards the black hole on the wall, and you have to go more than max melee. Once again, stack up really tight towards the healer so that the tanks don't have to go all the way to the wall, and will definitely get out in time. We now get Naught Wakes. This is going to move the black holes around. Some of the black holes may split into two, and now the black holes are going to do AoEs. The big one does a big shoot down the middle, the smaller ones shoots down the sides. So look at the black holes and decide where the safe spot is. Here the safe spot is north-south. They rotate around again, and we get another pattern. Anytime that you see that both of the black holes are split, you don't care where they are, it is always going to be middle safe. Here's a couple of the other patterns we might see in Phase 2. So here's a pattern here with two big ones that leaves all intercardinals safe. A pattern like this would mean all cardinals are going to be safe. This pattern here is a weird one you can get. It's a sort of N-shaped pattern. And then here's another version of double splits, so once again, middle is safe. Whichever pattern you get, when it finishes, it's going to be followed up by Shrouded Holy. This is light party stacks on both healers, so healers try to split to east-west, but when in doubt, party just find your healer. We'll get another Naught Grows to deal with, exactly as we described earlier, and then Dimension Zero is a multi-hit line stack. It hits for 3 really hard hits, so mitigate this. Afterwards, we get Vacuum. Just like before, we want to dodge the AoEs, but we now need to do it in such a way that we're going to dodge the other AoEs at the same time. So, find the shortest line AoE, go directly opposite, find one of the safe spots near, and properly hug in the middle because the boss is casting Meltdown at the same time, so we need to stand still as we dodge, as we get the Pyretic debuff. Don't move, wait for it to fall off. As soon as the debuff falls off, run out to your clock spots. If you were near to where we were just stacked before, like main tank and R2, go further out than normal so that you don't get clipped by the twisters that explode underneath where players were stood. Spread AoEs. And now Gaze of the Void happens again. This is a repeat of the earlier mechanic. The orbs, the yellow tethers, the blue tethers, it's all exactly the same. Still find the 2 first ones to find your new north. We get another Almagest raid wide. And then Naught Wakes. This is going to split the black holes. They're going to move around. They always split here, meaning middle will always be safe for this version. And we get the final new mechanic, Naught Hunts. 2 random players are going to get targeted by these AoEs here. They need to wait until the AoEs on the wall go off, and then immediately go out clockwise from their black hole. It's going to chase them, trying to kill them with little AoEs, and they're just going to keep running around clockwise to ensure that they don't hit any of the players who are all hiding middle. After 6 of these AoEs, you're going to see a tether to signify where the orb is going to jump to next, which player is going to be chased next. And this is where there's some difference in PF about how you deal with this. Some groups will go counterclockwise with their second player, so you would go behind the player that's currently being chased, and then run counterclockwise. I'm going to show the full clockwise pattern because it's what I was used to and found pretty easy. For the full clockwise pattern, when you're ready, you just go out in front of or on top of the player that you're tethered to, and you just run clockwise along with them. After a few jumps, the orb's going to swap onto you. Previous player who was tethered can just either run middle or hide against the wall, and the two players that are newly tethered continue to rotate around clockwise. At the very end, we're going to have one more set of black holes on the wall to dodge, and these are always going to be either all cardinals or all intercardinal safe. Here they're shooting through the cardinals, so we're going to dodge to a numbered waymark. At the end, you get either pairs or light parties. Here's airy, so we pair. And then we get another pattern of the black holes on the side, always split, so middle is safe, and the whole thing repeats. The only thing different is now the 4 players who didn't get targeted before get targeted this time. At the end, you're going to again dodge to either all cardinals or all intercardinals. And you're going to deal with another emptiness. In this case, it's light parties. And now it's all repeated mechanics. Dimension 0 is a line stack. It hits 4 times this time for heavy damage. Then an Almagest raid wide. Then another Naught Grows. Then another Naught Wakes with the AOEs you need to dodge from outside. Then a Deep Freeze with the Tank Busters and the Stay Moving. Another Naught Grows. Another Dimension 0. 2 Meteor Rain raid wides. And then finally, if you've done all of that and the boss is still not dead, the boss will do a slow cast of Almagest. Kill the boss before this finishes, or it's game over. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.